Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hopefully you're all having a good Friday, or whenever you're watching this. It's Friday for me at the moment. And I want to give a quick thanks to everybody who showed my upload last night some support. It was 15 minutes long, and I got a good amount of likes and a great amount of comments, so thank you to everybody who watched that video and enjoyed it. And yeah, I actually got this pretty fun, good argue battle that I had on Showdown earlier today, using this really fun team that I recently made. Now, I know I have 5 walls, but trust me, Slowking and Tangrowth are not the typical defensive sets if you get what I'm trying to hint at. But looking at threats on my opponent's side of the field, Scyther is honestly the biggest problem I'm going to have to watch out for, because if he gets too many SDs up, he's going to potentially sweep me. Not to mention that he has 2 rapid spinners, which means my hazards are kind of going to be difficult to get up, so I really have to watch out for his spinners and the Scyther. But I'm going to be leading off with my Sand Slash, as he's going to be leading off with the Lantern. Knowing that I can live one Scald and hoping that maybe he'll go for a Volt Switch or a Toxic, I'm going to say and then go for the Earthquake. As he does go for the Scald, I easily do live it, which is really great because my Sand Slash is definitely going to come in handy in this battle. Sorry about that. But on my second Earthquake, he brings in the Scyther, which isn't too big of a deal, just because I can bring in my Quillfish and go straight for the Thunder Wave, then go from there. But he's just going to go for the offensive play, which is the Bug Bite, getting off an okay amount of damage on my Quillfish. I mean, after Black Sludge, he actually does nothing to me. But as he brings in the Lantern, knowing that he would be expecting Thunder Wave, I'm actually going to go for Lair Spikes. As this turn, I'm going to switch into my Clefable on the off chance that maybe he wanted to go for the Volt Switch, but he actually ends up going for the Scald, expecting me to bring in my Sand Slash, which isn't a bad play at all. As this turn, I'm going to go straight for the Seismic Toss on the off chance that maybe he wanted to stay in and go for the Volt Switch, and maybe I outsped him, but he does just switch directly into Spiritomb, and knowing that I can't do anything to him, he's going to make a good play, predict me to switch out and go for the Pursuit, getting off a good amount of damage on my Clefable. As I can bring in my Quillfish, I cannot go for a Thunder Wave or maybe even get up another Lair Spikes. And again, on the off chance that he brought in Lantern, I decided just to get up a Lair Spikes. But as he brings in the Scyther, I know that this turn he more than likely is going to go for a Swords Dance, which means I'm going to be able to freely go for the Thunder Wave. Luckily for me, he does not have a Lumberry. As I go for the Waterfall, he unfortunately gets paralyzed, and then again he gets paralyzed as I bring in my Entei for fodder. And those 2 paralysis were actually very, very key, and I'm not going to say they didn't matter because they could have possibly been game-changing, but hey, if I didn't want him to get paralyzed, then I wouldn't have gone for Thunder Wave. So yeah, I don't really feel bad about that, but knowing that I'm going to go for the Flare Blitz, he's going to bring in the Kabutops, and he's going to make a good play, predicting me to switch out. He's going to go for the Rapid Spin as opposed to getting up his rocks, because this means he can have some more use out of his Scyther. But I know that he's going to be expecting the possible Giga Drain or Sleep Powder and bringing the Scyther, which is why I'm actually going to go for the Hidden Power Rock, as I annihilate that thing. That's 1 threat out of the way. As it brings in the Entei, this is actually kind of a threat as well, just because if I lose my Quillfish, this thing could possibly plow through my team, and even Slowking is not going to appreciate a Flare Blitz coming off from this Adamant Life Orb Entei. And at the time, I actually did not see that he had Life Orb, which is why I'm actually going to go for a Lair Spikes as opposed to going for the Waterfall or even the Thunder Wave, which is really stupid of me because I should have been paying attention to the battle. But hey, hindsight is hindsight, and there's nothing I can do about it now. And this turn, I actually thought that he would want to switch out into the Hitmonchan to be able to Rapid Spin, but he actually just ends up going for the Bulldoze again. As this turn I switched into my Slowking as he brought in the Lantern. I know that he more than likely is going to go for the Heal Bell, which means I'm going to go straight for the Psyshock and easily knock that thing out, which is really great. Unfortunately for me though, this means I lure in the Spiritomb and I'm basically left to be Pursuit Trapped. Luckily though, I just barely live, and I'm going to be able to get out of there while still being able to keep my Slowking around to be able to take a hit from the Hitmonchan and even the Entei. He makes a bit of an odd play and actually goes for the Sucker Punch. I guess maybe thinking I would go for the Earthquake because from the looks of his team, nothing really appreciates an Earthquake, but this automatically tells me that he more than likely is Black Glasses as opposed to being Choice Banded, obviously, because he switched the moves. And I go for the Toxic as he misses his Will-O-Wisp, which really doesn't matter just because I do have Clefable with Heal Bell. And here I make a very odd play by bringing in my Slowking, but I actually thought that because he had Will-O-Wisp and Sucker Punch that he wouldn't have Shadow Sneak, which means I could take this opportunity to go for the trick as he Sucker Punched me, but no, he catches me off guard and just destroys my poor little Slowking with the Shadow Sneak, which really sucks. Although now I can get a free switch into my Clefable, and then expecting him to want to switch out, I'm actually going to go for the Thunder Wave as he does switch out into the Hitmonchan. This is really good for me, and I noticed that he has the leftovers, which means even if he wants to go for the Ice Punch predicting my Tangrowth switching, I know I will easily be able to take the hit and then in return be able to get off a heavy hit on something on his team. As I do take the Drain Punch, he just went for the safe play, which wasn't bad at all. But now he has to choose something on his team that he wants to get knocked out by a modest Choice Specs Tangrowth Sleep Storm. As I easily knock out the Hitmonchan, he now brings in the Entei. Obviously, I do not want to take a Flare Blitz, so I'm going to switch directly into my Qwfish. Luckily for me though, he's actually going to end up going for the Extreme Speed, as I'm going to be able to just barely live that. After the Intimidate, I'm going to switch into my Sand Slash, because at this point, I know that I am going to have some use for my Qwfish later on in the battle, and I'm just really trying to wear down this Entei with the Life Orb recoil, because if I lose my Qwfish and my Sand Slash, then Entei is going to get off a heavy hit on something on my team, which will preferably be my own Entei, just because I'm still at full HP, I believe. So after he switches into the Spiritomb, I switch back into my Qwfish, and after the Intimidate, again, Qwfish lives on 1%. Good lord, Qwfish is a bulky little monster. And I'm going to get up another layer of spikes, thinking that he would want to go for the Sucker Punch, but he makes a good play by going for the Shadow Sneak, and then knowing that next turn he's going to die off to the Toxic. And again, I could still have some use for my Qwfish. I'm just going to switch into my Sand Slash, as he does just go for the Shadow Sneak. And this gives him a free switch into the Kabutops, which on the options that maybe he wanted to go for the Rapid Spin, I'm actually going to stay in, but he makes a safe play, which is the Waterfall. And as I bring in my Tangrowth, it's basically my game, because I can take any hit from this Kabutops, click Leaf Storm, and kill something on his team. Unfortunately though, I miss, as he makes a bit of an odd switch into the Entei, I guess maybe thinking that he would be able to live one, but nope, I knocked that out. And even though I am going to be at -2, this is 4 times super effective stabbed. I am modest, and it is Choice Specs, and this Kabutops gets destroyed, and that's going to be the narrow 4-0 victory in my favor. And in my opinion, even though it was a 4-0 battle, I thought it was still pretty close, just because Kabutops and Entei were really threatening to my team, and if he had played them very well, he could have possibly wrecked me with them. But in the end, I was able to pull out the victory, and Specs Tangrowth is a monster, along with Specs Slowking, which is what this team was based around. But yeah, hopefully y'all did enjoy the battle. If you did, you know what to do. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to see more content. Enjoy the rest of your night, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys when I upload again. So, I'm out of here. Later.